Good Monday morning, and thanks for logging on to BAMWX.com for a short and long-range forecast update. Sorry it's such a late delivery here today, but a lot of research going into today's forecast, and really kind of just a whole video here on our outside-the-box kind of thought process on how we evolve into early January. Temperatures from normal differences this morning, if you will. Look at the difference here. Look at how warm it is. It is just blazing warm in relevance to normal in the Central Plains. As temperatures there are getting into the mid-60s, maybe even some 70s today. A big change is coming. This pattern is going to reverse, and it happens tonight and tomorrow night, and eventually we this long advertised pattern change where these pieces here start talking, and we just dislodge some serious cold into the United States, central and eastern United States by days 6 through 10. High confidence in that. Just a poleward expanding ridge all the way up into the highest latitudes, and we start to get some really cold air. And the pattern starts to become really active. These are 10-day and 15-day snow ideas, simulations here from the models. And you can see snow chances increasing. The GFS model last night even picked up very nicely on the 15th system right here of December. It puts down a swath of a bunch of snow. The Euro has a system early next week. There's clippers coming through. There's all kinds of things going on here as we get into the next couple of weeks. Here's what's interesting. The Bering Sea Rule forecast back on November 12th called for December 3rd, called for this big storm system. Well, there are blizzard warnings in the northern plains right now, and there is the actual surface low forecast. It is 24 hours off on a 3-week lead time. So that makes you wonder, with what's coming, how's this gonna evolve? I mean, look at this big storm system. It advertises on the 17th and again on the 15th. All right, some big storms in here, guys, getting all the way out into Christmas Eve. A couple of northern stream clippers. We've got an interesting pattern evolving. So, looking at the 11 to 15-day top cluster, continuing to see that pattern hanging around, a lot of high latitude blocking, even some indications of a Scandinavian ridge, Scandinavian area of high pressure. This would do more to kind of poke at and irritate the polar vortex. In the 11 to 15-day top cluster, we're 15 degrees below the normal. And in the day 10 and day 15 top cluster, we're still keeping the eastern half of the United States below normal. The day 15 second cluster, you can see how it's trying to back up the cold a little bit further to the west. That's an interesting look here, all right? It takes me into a lot of our research for today. We're looking at the 200 millibar velocity potential anomalies. And essentially, these will tell us the phases of the MJO based off the velocity potential or the upward motion in the western tropical Pacific. You can see the GFS ensemble, a very strong indication that we were in phase 5 for quite some time, and we've propagated it into a phase 6. So the GFS ensemble gets us into a 6. There's questions on, can we get into a 7? Analogs would suggest yes. The Europeans, the same thing. We've been in a 5, we're going to a 6. Do we get into a 7? All right, that's the question here. If this MJO wave continues to behave as it has much of the year, as the days get closer, the forecast trends a little bit stronger with the MJO pulse. So chances of it going full circle possibly, perhaps may increase. The bottom line is phases 5, 6, and 7, using a 20 to 25-day lag, in research does suggest that it would keep some of the cold around. It would suggest that week 2 cold may not be the most extreme cold we would see in December. Okay? So here, follow with me. Phase 5 at a 20-day lag looks like this. See the below normal anomalies expanding to the west. This would be around Christmas. We would say this is around the 25th of December, using the 20-day lag from phase 5. The research says the coldest air felt from phase 5 is 20 to 25 days out. Then when you take it into a phase 6, using the same lag at 20 to 25, you're around the 30th, which means we're seeing more cold becoming pronounced across the U.S. Phase 5, or the lag 5 out to 25 days even draws it further back to the north and west. Phase 7, okay, using the same 20 to 25 day lag, suggests that all the way out through January 5th through the 10th, we are still keeping the central and eastern United States colder than normal. Okay? Now, traditional CPC MJO analogs are not going to work here. There's other things at play. There's a different lag at play here, and that's why we think that 20 to 25 day lag would suggest the cold could be around through early January, at least as far as the eye can see. When you look at the CFS weeklies, here's your week 4 forecast. This is the 24th of December through the 1st of January. Okay? Look at the trough here. Watch what happens as you go into week 5. We start to see that cold kind of expand and go west a little bit. Look into week 6. This is the 7th of January through the 14th. Watch how it retrogrades even more. Now the northern half of the country is cold. Interesting, yeah? Okay, so look at the year 2000 in the MJO. The MJO went full circle. Phase 5, Phase 6, 7, 8, Phase 1, even Phase 2 a little bit. All right? And this is where we are right now currently. Okay, we're currently in Phase 5. This is December in Phase 5 of 2000. Okay? See this look here? And then you see the modeled look. The only difference is the ridge is a little bit further east. These aren't going to be picture-perfect matches, but the match is there. Okay? Now, what's interesting is when we look beyond that period in the 16 to 30, the GFS ensemble says we keep that idea, that cold kind of going over the top and keeping it east. The European says we warm up. But do we? There are warmer risks in that forecast. Risks. And I'll end it with this because what happens is when we see these warm-ups, quote-unquote, in the Bering Sea, now I'm going to zoom in, it's going to be a little blurry, but I will zoom in and show you this. When you see these ridges pop like this in the Bering Sea, see that ridge popping? Look what's behind it. See that storm system? I've always said when there's a warm-up in the winter, you always want to look out for what's behind it. All right? I think that the pattern can suggest there will be shots of warmth ahead of storm systems as a powerful low pulls in warm Gulf moisture and warm air. All right? The wave 5 pattern in a 15 to 20 day lag, as you'll read in the notes here, it does suggest there could be some warmth. But I think that this is more of a summertime signal and tool. All right? You can see the research here. I plotted the research from NCAR and UCAR, but the wave 5 pattern can suggest some moderation, but it probably suggests more of an extreme in the summertime. So basically what I'm saying is I think the below normal overall hangs around, and the MJO research we showed you overall is the end-all be-all here, but could be some moderation with warm risks ahead of storms. My overall take is we can't stay minus 15 from normal the whole winter, but we can moderate and still be below normal, if that makes sense. So does the cold have staying power through early January? I personally believe it does. There are storms in there that can cause 1 or 2 day kinks and some milder conditions, followed by snow and a colder threat behind that. All right. Hopefully this is making sense to you. If you have to go back and rewatch this, do it. If you have questions, you can email us, of course, wxops@bamwx.com.